the Bigscreen Beyond 2. So this is the newest VR headset, well, newest VR headset from Bigscreen. So I have been using this headset for the past 2 months, and I think it's finally time for me to put out my thoughts about it. People have been asking me, well, so what about the Bigscreen Beyond 2E? What about the headset? Is it good? Would I recommend it as somebody who's been reviewing headsets for a few years? And I think the answer as of right now is yes, but with some caveats. And I gotta be honest, in terms of my experience with it, in terms of it being a upgrade from the Bigscreen Beyond 1, I'm a little disappointed. No. Now that's shocking. A lot of people are like, whoa, this is the best headset ever. I know a lot of people hype it up, but I think there's some kind of big things that Bigscreen kind of missed with the jump between the Bigscreen Beyond 1 to 2. If you guys don't know, I'm MartydudeVR. I do a lot of VR headset reviews, man. So check out the channel if you guys have any questions about any new VR headsets. And any company I mentioned that is an accessory or anything for the Bigscreen Beyond 2, I will link it down in the description below. You know, hit those links if you want to support the channel. I appreciate it. First, let's talk unboxing. So unboxing, always, the Bigscreen is amazing. I love unboxing Bigscreen products because the unboxing feels so premium and just personal. So you see all the names in the box, people who worked at the company. Obviously, you get the headset itself. And I did buy this off eBay. I must mention that. I did buy this secondhand off eBay because my pre-order was taking like forever. And I was like, I want my headset like now. So in the box, it came with the headset, a soft strap, the IPD adjustment tool, which is very important, a fiber optic cable, which is decently long. I think it's like 5 meters, a link box, and a cleaning cloth. So you get a few things in the box. Not like a crazy pack box, but just enough to keep you going. Overall, first impression when you pull the Bigscreen Beyond 2E out the box is that it's so small. And that's one of the shocking things about this headset is its size. I think that's literally the main selling point for the Bigscreen Beyond is the fact that it's just so small and fits in your hand. And it's funny, the Bigscreen Beyond barely looks like a VR headset. Like even when I use it on stream and stuff, people like ask me, yo, is that a VR headset? I'm like, yes, it's a VR headset, but it's just small. Literally looks like a pair of glasses. So I chose a see-through shell because, you know, it looks cool. And I love see-through like technology. And so I chose that one. It has a bunch of different colors, which I really appreciate because a lot of VR companies do not like indulge in colors whatsoever. Either black or white or gray. Real ugly, but I'm glad Bigscreen actually chose to admit some color into their designs. One of the biggest changes in terms of design that they chose is the IPD adjustment system. So you got to insert the little tool and then you twist it to adjust your IPD, which is the distance between your eyeballs, to what you need. So my IPD is a 72, so I chose mine around 72. And then I was good. And what's also cool is that you can adjust each eye independently. So if you have one eye that's like, let's say like a 71 and one eye that's like 69 in terms of IPD, you can do that. Personally, would I just wanted it in software? Yes, but obviously I chose to do this because I mean, I guess you don't have to put in like a little motor or whatever, and probably save them some weight because their main priority is making the headset as light as possible, which I also kind of hate about their philosophy. Crazy part is that this thing weighs 107 grams, so it's mad light, and especially with the cloth strap, which I personally am not a fan of, it's still pretty light, probably maybe 10 grams for the cloth strap. Personally, I chose to go with the audio strap because it just seemed a lot more sturdy. Still feels a little cheap, and that I kind of fixed by going to Studio Form and getting their comfort kit, which I highly recommend. Is in the description below. Studio Form is very solid when it comes to having comfort kits for a lot of different VR headsets. But I would definitely recommend a comfort kit from Studio Form just so you can get extra comfort because that base strap, to me, is very uncomfortable. Now, I was going to order the flip up head strap, but it took so long to come in with my pre-order. I just canceled everything. I ended up buying a Samsung Galaxy XR before. But obviously, this is a very light VR headset made for hours and hours of VR chat and flight sim or whatever you want to do in it. Another design choice that they implemented is the eye tracking feature. So we're going to talk about more of the software portion of it later, but I mean, it's very small, like very small eye tracker. And I'm even to this day, I'm so genuinely surprised that it actually works. I can't believe it, but it works. It actually functions. Then you use it for VR chat and I'll get into that later, but yeah, eye tracking is awesome. All right, now let's talk about the display and optics, lenses and stuff like that. So Still the same display as the original Bigscreen Beyond 1 with that 2560 by 2560 resolution, which to me is a perfect sweet spot between like a Quest 3 or maybe like a, a quote unquote 8K micro OLED headset like the Samsung Galaxy XR, Play for Dream MR, those headsets. So the Bigscreen Beyond 2 is a perfect medium in terms of resolution. So we're coming from like a LCD headset like the Quest 3 or OLED headset like the PSVR 2. The micro OLED in the Bigscreen Beyond 2 is gonna blow your mind. Like you're gonna be so amazed by this headset, and that is a valid thing I think I must bring up, because for me, you gotta realize I have a lot of different headsets. Now, the Bigscreen Beyond 1 was my first micro OLED headset ever, right? So it was like groundbreaking to me. But over time, I've upgraded to different headsets like, the Samsung Galaxy XR, Play for Dream MR, the Mega Next Black 8K, which I'll bring up later, and the Pimax Crystal Super. So I've done a lot of micro OLED since my Bigscreen Beyond 1 purchase. Still rocking those pancake lenses, and you guys know I love some pancake lenses. Now you do get a lot more FOV out of these lenses versus the original Bigscreen Beyond 1. I wish I knew where my Bigscreen Beyond 1 was so I could compare them and show you guys, but I'll find some B-roll somewhere. But main point is you get a lot more FOV, which is appreciated with the Bigscreen Beyond 2, and is really one of the highlights of jumping from the 1 to the 2. Now refresh rates, you're not getting the 120 like you would get on like a PSVR 2 or Quest. You're gonna be stuck at 75, then a upscaled 90. So when you get that upscaled 90, you're actually gonna go down to a lower resolution, about like 1900. Then it's gonna upscale to about, I think, to 2560, I think. Now that does cause us some issues sometimes in certain things, right? So the upscaling is okay. It's okay, it works, especially for games where you kind of need those frames. It works. Now the 75 hertz, which is the full resolution, no upscaling, is honestly better to me. So most of the time I run the headset at 75 hertz and not the upscale. I personally wish there was an option or some way to get the 90 hertz at 2560, especially if you have like a stronger PC. That would be very nice, because with the 90 hertz, there can be a little bit of dragging, persistence. Not the best image to me personally. And if I wanted to go upscale, I would rather control that myself, because it just doesn't look as good as the 75 hertz option. A lot of people notice that and stick to the 75 hertz option, especially if you're doing like flight sim, race sim, or anything that's just fast paced. Like for me, when I run on a VR treadmill, like not like the one back here, but usually on the Cat VR one, which is like broken down back here, I like having more frames if possible. It makes using VR treadmills so much more fun because you're sweating and stuff like that. And obviously when you're working out, you're gonna need as many frames as you can get. Another thing I gotta mention is the glare. The glare is not as bad as the Bigscreen Beyond 1, but it's still there. It's still there, it's still noticeable. The sweet spot is still really small. You do get a lot more, it is a lot bigger than the Bigscreen Beyond 1, but it's still really small, especially compared to other VR headsets. But like we say, the main thing here is the size, the form factor of the Bigscreen Beyond 2, which really saves it. And this is the reason they take so many shortcuts in terms of what they give you. And speaking of form factor, let's talk about comfort and fit. So this is something they also upgraded from the Bigscreen Beyond 1, because originally you had to scan your face and all this other stuff to get a custom face cushion. And I did like my first custom face cushion. It was okay. Very thick though. And so I got Bigscreen last time to send me a thinner one, a thinner custom face cushion. They actually did it for like the low. So shout out to y'all. And no, I'm not even like, I wasn't even affiliated with the company. I never even spoke to Bigscreen other than them to like deny me a headset. But I did go to their support, got a thinner face cushion. Really good. I can't be mad. Main thing that kind of turned a lot of people off the first time is that they want to share the VR headset with other people. So if you have like a custom face cushion, can't really do that. So this time we got generalized face cushions, but I think work very well for the Bigscreen Beyond 2. And I'm actually ordering a custom one for my 2 because my face has changed over the past year. But yeah, I think that the comfort is literally the top selling thing for the Bigscreen Beyond 2 because it's just so small. literally so small. Like, so when you have other headsets, even like the Meganex, the Bigscreen Beyond 2 is lighter than this, and this is already very small. Now, we're going to talk about differences and why I'm a little disappointed with the optical side of the Bigscreen Beyond 2. And that's going to be the main comparison, but we'll talk about that. So you get a lot more design options with the Bigscreen Beyond 2, like the flip up base thing and a lot of different other head straps, stuff like that. Main thing, no audio solution. So you got to pay a lot of extra money for accessories for the Bigscreen Beyond 2. And it adds up. It does add up really fast. And it's kind of like, dang, what am I really paying for? Because you're really paying for a very small headset. And that feels like kind of it, right? And I'm not mad at them for prioritizing that because that's like their thing, right? But having to pay $129 for a audio strap, it's kind of steep. And even having to pay $100, how much is it? $180 for the Halo strap is kind of crazy. So it's like they really tax you on those things. So even more, if you're looking to get like an audio solution that's not like just a regular pair of headphones you already might have, you got to pay some bread. Now let's talk about setup. So setup is literally one of the like quickest things you can do with a Bigscreen Beyond 2. Literally plug it up to your computer. It's a native PCVR headset. There's literally no hassle. Like literally fine. Like one of my favorite things about the Bigscreen Beyond 2 is how easy it is to plug and play. Like I literally just plug it and play. I can switch headsets in like 2 minutes flat. I do wish the cable was a little bit longer though. That's literally just a me thing because I have like a decent sized play space with the VR treadmill. So really just a me complaint. It's good. Now the software drivers, like I mentioned earlier for the Bigscreen Beyond 2 are like really good. Like you can set the fan speed, which the fan does get a little loud, but you can turn it down, but then you'll have a hotter VR headset. So definitely some trade-offs there. Oh, it's 6.7, that's fine. But trade-offs there. And you also can tune the eye tracking. So, and you can also tune the eye tracking, change the color of the LED. So I chose mine to be, I think you can see it like a little blue right there. If it turns on, like a little blue on the side right there. MartyDude blue, you know how we do. You can also set your IPD in software. So a few different things, not overly complicated, like the Pomax Play software where you get like a lot of fine tuning and stuff like that. But it just literally just works. Now let's talk about the price of the Bigscreen Beyond 2, which is kind of one of the more disappointing things like on my list of topics to talk about because it's really expensive. This headset really adds up. And I think it costs more than, to me, that is kind of worth. So the base Bigscreen Beyond is $1,000, right? $1,000, that's fine. I can live with that. Now, to get the eye tracking upgrade, it costs an extra $200. Okay, cool. For a middle of the road VR headset with micro OLED, over $1,000 totally makes sense to me. If you've seen like my theme frame videos, you know I truly understand that, right? Main thing, tracking. So tracking with this headset is done with base station. So I have like 4 base stations around my room. Very special situation because I stream and stuff like that. Average person probably has like 1 or 2, right? So the base station themselves are like $200 a piece. So let's say you're a new user, right? You want to buy a Bigscreen Beyond 2E and you want to have tracking, controllers, all that stuff. For my Valve Index controllers, right? Some of the, really to me, probably 2 of the top 2 in terms of controllers on the market. These are like $100-some a pop, maybe 200 if Valve doesn't have them on their site. So you're paying 200-some for the tracker, for the Lighthouse trackers, right? That's how you get to, that's 400, right? 400 plus another maybe 200 to 300, maybe even 400 for controllers if you can find them, right? And so that's another $800 you're gonna be spending plus the $1,200 you just spent. So to get a fully working Bigscreen Beyond 2 setup really is closer to almost $2,000. And what if you need prescription lenses? So I got mine from VR Rock. So VR Rock sent mine over, not the VR Rock. Now, if you got a Bigscreen Beyond 1, the ones for the 1 won't fit on the 2. Not fully. They'll kind of fit, but it'll be a little loose and they'll fall out here and there. So you'll need to get Bigscreen Beyond 2 lenses. Now, your boy got astigmatism, and so my lenses can cost about $100, right? So that's really about $2,000. $2,000. You might need a head strap. That's another, what, $100? You want to flip up, that's $180. the Bigscreen Beyond 2 really adds up. And it's funny because people tell me, they'll be like, I don't want to spend that much on a VR headset. I'll just get the Bigscreen Beyond. I'm like, okay, do you have any lighthouse trackers? No. I'm like, you might as well look into getting like Samsung Galaxy XR or anything else that's kind of in that 2K price range, because you're gonna spend about that much. Now this is, and it isn't Bigscreen's fault, you know, in my head, because I wish they would figure out a inside out tracking solution, just like a Quest, something like that. Now obviously the headset's gonna be a little bit bigger because it's gonna have to have sensors, stuff like that. But I think that's a worthy trade-off, to have a slightly bigger headset, maybe a little bit higher of a cost, maybe like instead of 1,000, it'd be like, I don't know, 1,200, and then 1,400, then you don't have to buy trackers, stuff like that. I can see that. But it's just, it kind of sucks for people who are coming into the ecosystem. They want to choose big screen. You got to run them pockets. So this is really for people who are upgrading from like a Valve Index or any other headset that uses lighthouse trackers. That's going to be the primary like group. And that's not a really big group. Especially we got people coming from the Quest 3. Obviously the Quest 3, the Quest 2 dominates like the Steam VR charts, right? And so you want to have something for them. And I feel like it's a very hard sell for somebody coming from like a Quest 3 or a PSVR 2 or even a Pimax Crystal Lite. It's a hard sell to tell them that, hey, now you gotta put all these things around your room, and you gotta buy these controllers, and you gotta get the headset and accessories if you need them. Yeah. So I don't know. All right, so let's talk about the eye tracking. So eye tracking is a very debated topic with the Bigscreen Beyond 2E, and I'm kind of on the side of it's okay. It's very okay. So I tried it recently because I've been using this headset literally for like streaming, and the games that I play usually don't really have any dynamic foveated rendering, which is a DFR. So I'm gonna call it DFR from now on. So DFR is very useful when you're playing flight sims. So DCS World, Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, even racing sims like iRacing, stuff like that, right? If you know, you know. Now, getting a few extra frames in DCS World is very nice. Like, that is a very, very intense VR game because it's very high resolution, big maps, a lot to render, right? Now, for me, I tried it with Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 because it's real simple to get into, and personally, I just don't know DCS World like that because it's very complicated. But for Flight Sim 2024, I feel like I didn't get really a big jump in frames. Now, the setup for the eye tracking is kind of cool. You know, you gotta actually do a lot of looking around and follow stuff with your eyes. Real cool, right? And you also get to see your eyes, which is really dope because I don't think any other VR headset I have does that, where you can actually see your eyeballs and stuff like that while they're moving around in game. Really cool. And the eye tracking does work in VR chat. And I don't know how complex it is in VR chat. I haven't personally been on that side of the VR space in quite literal years. I was never really into it. But there are reviews online for people who actually play VR chat that use the Bigscreen Beyond 2E. And you know, you can go find them. But for everything else in the gaming space, come to your boy. But I just felt like my increase in frames on Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 this wasn't crazy. Like, I have other VR headsets that have eye tracking, like the Samsung Galaxy XR. Now, the Meganex Superlight 8K doesn't have eye tracking, but I mean, to me, a person with a stronger GPU gotta just brute force it most of the time, right? And even the Pimax Crystal Super also has eye tracking. Now, none of those headsets other than the Meganex is as small as a Bigscreen Beyond 2. I think for a flight simmer, I'd rather recommend the Meganex over the Bigscreen Beyond 2E because, I mean, you get a higher jump resolution. It's about the same size. And the eye tracking just, for me, doesn't give enough performance boost in terms of DFR to really matter. Especially at 2560 if you're running it at that 75 hertz mode or at a lower resolution at the upscale, with the upscale at the 90 hertz mode. So the eye tracking, to kind of sum this up, is cool. It's not amazing. They are improving, and they have improved it over time, and it even trains like different models and stuff for your eyes. So it's really cool. So it's cool. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not crazy impressed by it, especially with the fact that it's so finicky. Because I mean, even if you move your headset like this, or even like a little bit, you're out of alignment, and it's just really kind of annoying to have to realign it and stuff like that. So man, Now let's talk about my use for the Bigscreen Beyond 2E, which has been a lot of Minecraft. I have played a lot of Minecraft. So what I love about this, the Bigscreen Beyond 2E, obviously is the size. Like playing it on a VR treadmill, you know, on one of these babies, having the Bigscreen Beyond is a great go-to because it's a great middle ground in terms of resolution. So it's not as high resolution as a Mega Next or a Samsung Galaxy XR, but it's not as low resolution as a Quest 3 or PSVR 2. It was a sweet, sweet, sweet middle ground. Now, the only thing that's annoying, obviously, is staying in that sweet spot. The brightness can be a little low sometimes, but you can turn it up in software. And the glare can be kind of annoying. And another thing is it's kind of hard to get good brow placement sometimes with that generic facial interface. So it's kind of hard to get it to stay in the same spot without having to squeeze your head a little bit. So, but for me, I think I've enjoyed the actual gaming experience itself because I do like having my Lighthouse trackers. I love having the best tracking. The cord is actually really good too. I have put that cord through it. Like, you're on a treadmill, you're doing 360s, you're turning around, and with the Mega Next cord did not survive that. So I actually had to use my old cord from my Mega Next because it couldn't take the beating that the Bigscreen Beyond 2's cord could take while being on the VR treadmill, playing aggressive, shooters and stuff like that. So overall, in terms of practical use for just kind of the everyday VR, the Bigscreen Beyond 2 is awesome. Like, it literally performs so well. Never have to worry about frames and like that when I'm playing, especially with my 5090. It's just a great experience. If you're a VR treadmiller, I highly recommend it. If you're a VR chatter who likes to sleep in VR and stuff like that and dance, all that other stuff, then yeah. Even for flight simmers, I think it's a good option. I think there obviously are better options on the market. I think if you're a person who kind of dips and dabbles in flights and racing sims, yeah, I think it'd be good. I think the wider FOV really helps in terms of just making you more immersed while, wearing the headset, because the Bigscreen Beyond 1 feel like wearing like really small like swimming goggles. And if you're playing long sessions, this is just gonna be your go-to. I'm sorry. So to sum up everything, I think that the Bigscreen Beyond 2 is a great headset. Do I think it's worthy of an upgrade from the 1? Honestly, no. I feel like if you're satisfied with your Bigscreen Beyond 1, I don't see the need to upgrade. Like, yeah, it's cool to have like the eye tracking and stuff like that, but you gotta pay another $1,200. I don't see it as being worth it. I personally think if you're gonna upgrade and spend $1,200, I think there's other things on the market you can add a little bit extra money onto and just get better stuff. I mean, the Mega Next to me is better. The Promise Crystal Super, or even like the Dream Air, better option to me personally. There's other headsets that I feel like just kind of have not passed the Bigscreen Beyond 2, but just seem like a better deal to me. Like the Bigscreen Beyond 2 just doesn't feel like the true next iteration of the Bigscreen Beyond. But I think they can do better. I do. I love Bigscreen. That's why I bought 2 of their headsets, and I do support them as a company because I feel like they're doing something in the VR space that's gonna be amazing when it's fully realized in like a few years. With that being said, how do you guys feel? People who got a Bigscreen Beyond 2, do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comments below. This is MartydudeVR. And remember, also, if you want to support the channel, in the description below, I will have affiliate links down there. If you guys want to get a Bigscreen Beyond 2 for the channel, help your boy, or anything else in this video, you know where to go. That being said, it's MartydudeVR. And remember, I'm just a dude with a, VR headset.